So we've been having a great time here at Olympic National Park in the Pacific Northwest in Washington. And one of the other reasons we came up here is that we wanted to get some service done on our slide out. Several months back, I was having problems with my Schwintek Slideout. I was looking on YouTube and found Darren from My RV Works, and come to find out we were coming up here, and he's from up here. He's located and services the Pacific Northwest. I'll leave a link to his channel. If you have an RV, you need to do repairs or basic stuff on your RV, it's a great channel. We were blessed knowing that we were coming up here to Olympic National Park and that he was located up here. So as a full-time RVer, you know what it is, logistically trying to figure out where you're going to be, what time you're going to be, at what dates, and trying to figure out with Lippert to get the slide outs ordered and sent here, and the parts are here and we're getting it fixed today. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what he's doing and how to remove it. He actually has a video on how to replace your Schwintek slide out, the electric slide outs, and I'll leave a link on that down here too.
So you want this to float, and it mates up against this piece right here.
Okay.
So you want to keep that clean so that when it makes this mating, that all you have is these 4 little holes. So we got to clean that. Okay. And we're going to clean this. So now, only ever a toothbrush, never anything harder than a toothbrush, because there's a gold surface on this, and you don't want to scrub your gold surface off. So I still have not done anything to that nozzle.
Mama's girl.
That's the very last thing we're going to do. But if it's not correct, then these probes will drag inside that cloud of fuel. They'll drag inside, or if they're not high enough, it won't ignite it. So this clip, you seat the clip all the way to the base, and here you see that they're right where they need to be. Right in there.
Got it.
Okay, 10 millimeter if you have to loosen it to adjust them.
Yes.
A lot of people, they wait until...
Okay. So that is the old, that's brand new fuel in there. This is the old filter, and this is the new filter. So you see the difference. Hey, now you always want to use a backup wrench on this one, because this is a tower that it's about that long, goes way in there. You don't want to crank on it without a backup wrench. So we're going to tighten, loosen, tighten. There you go. That's all you do. It takes a lot of it. Truck's not cheap, trailer's not cheap.
So that's the bearing block.
Yeah.
On the other side of my slide, the inside piece here, which is all part of this, is actually what broke off.
And we'll take this out. Okay. I'm going to grab a piece that's, okay. So here's a little plastic shoe. That's the piece that often breaks. The only way to get this block in is to take this off. Okay. There's no way not to do that. So then you feed that through, and you'll see how the wheel catches it.
Right.
It's got sand in it because I just dropped it, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
This would turn. There we go. Okay.
Excellent.
So there's a good profile of how it all fits together. And
so what I'm going to do is, actually Darren had done a video. It's actually the first video that I watched on fixing my Schwintek, and he goes through this whole process. He's got everything laid out. So I'll link it in the bottom, and it'll show you exactly how the Schwintek works and the things that you need to watch out for.
Okay. So Teflon is going to be your friend. The CRC Power Lube with PTF Teflon.
I'll link it in the bottom.
Yeah, the green can, $9.
The green can.
Yeah, $9.
Just ordered some.
Yeah, and that's the only thing you're going to spray this with. Okay. And you're going to spray in this track right here. Why? Well, because this plastic piece is riding into that aluminum piece, so you want to make sure that that's nice and slippery. You don't need to spray your track at all because that's just this gear that's rolling back and forth.
Okay,
There's no reason to spray your track at all.
Interesting.
Okay? Keep your track dry, otherwise you're going to have crap that collects up inside of there. Okay. This piece right here is called a gib, G-I-B, gib. Okay, and it looks like you're missing one on this side. So this was another point that was going to fail. It looks like you're missing one on the top too. Okay. So this profile fits like that, okay? And then your track, I'll just grab one, goes there in this cutout. So it's this piece right here. There's supposed to be one on both sides, but this one's broken. That's what this notch is for. So when you're lubricating, you also want to lubricate. You take your straw, you bend your straw. You're going to see this. You bend your straw, you find the rivet, and it's basically even with the wheel. So if you see your wheel, you're just going to squirt around where the wheel is to get this straw up into this groove on both sides.
Got it.
And so when I energized the motor with my jig, the drive shaft pulled them both evenly.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is grab a tape measure just to verify 6 1/4. So good. See, they're just like that. They're perfectly synchronized. So we've got our top and bottom track screwed in. Use the same screw holes. We can drive our track back and forth with our 12-volt battery in our harness. All right, so when I took this H column off, these fell down to the ground. These are the gibs, and then here's your broken piece. This is supposed to be, it's pretty much locked in. I'm wiggling it back and forth, okay? But what's holding it in is this piece right here, okay? So if I were to put him in there, he shouldn't move, but if he's just broken off, there's nothing to grab him in. See this V-roller, he's been fatigued. That's supposed to be like conical, like on this side, but on this side he's got that profile to him.
Well, it hasn't been sitting on that channel for a while since this broke off.
Yeah, and here's a big nasty gouge right there.
Wow.
So, bearing's still good, but yeah, so that was the...
That's the problem.
Yeah, there it is.
Got one side down, and one to go.
So they're both kind of queued up, both evenly touching the tooth. Come down here where the motor is. Let's see, I'm gonna make black plus, I expect it to go backwards. There we go, see how he's jumping down there? Kind of jumping. Okay, so now, and then I'll do a measuring. That's good, okay. So we're looking at, 9 7/8. Okay, let's see what this guy's at. Again, it's a 1/16 of an inch off, but we're right at 9 7/8. It's actually 15 16ths. So that's about as good as we can get. There's your 15 16ths right there in the play. So. I'm going to watch the track with my loose screws, so when this drives, I want to see if this track's moving at all. And as of now, it is not. So that's a good sign, so that these are both parallel. Anchor point down there. This one's allowed to float if it wanted to. It never did, therefore it's parallel.
Okay.
So since there was no movement, I'm going to go ahead and commit to
everything's locked in.
Yep, I'm going to commit to putting the rest of these screws in. And so I'm going to put this right here. So I want to make sure my wipers don't get caught behind here. It's one of these systems, this is the only product you're going to use to lubricate them. I'll say that again. This is the only product you're going to use to lubricate this Schwintek slide room. CRC Power Lube was like $8, $9 on Amazon. PTFE is Teflon. So we're going to go inside of this track right here where my finger's running. Because remember, that's where that plastic shoe was gliding in and out. And I could just feel my finger. It's kind of still kind of clean and there's no lubrication. I mean, if I did this back and forth, my finger would get hot. Okay. And so, oh geez, already this is very slippery. And that's the condition we want for that plastic shoe to ride back and forth in, is in this track, nice and slippery.
All right, Darren, any final words on maintenance of Schwintek?
Maintenance on Schwintek, the most important thing, I can't stress it enough, is to lubricate the proper rails. I would say that good 80% of every call I come out on is because it's broken, and the reason it's broken is because it wasn't lubricated. We do get calls sometimes because they get out of synchronization. The best way to prevent your slide room from getting out of synchronization is when you push your button to extend or retract, just keep your finger on the button until it's done. It'll let you know when it's done because it'll be quiet. And only then do you take your finger off the button. We had one not too long ago where the guy said his slide room's not working, and the whole problem was with synchronization. So if you find out your Schwintek's not working right, bring it all the way in or all the way out, lubricate it. I cannot stress that enough. I cannot stress lubricating these enough. Use that green can. That's the only product you should ever put on these things, period. But to synchronize your system, if it's not working right, then you can inch it in, inch to get it to get home, either all the way out or all the way in, it doesn't matter. And what that controller is looking for is for those two motors to amp out at the same time, okay? If one amps out before the other one amps out, and what I mean by amping out is it hits a solid surface, and then the amp is going to go up on the motor, and it's going to basically stop. To synchronize, you want to make sure that it's in all the way or out all the way. Doesn't matter, find a stop. Measure it, I think. Then you're going to bring it out just a couple of inches and then bring it back in. Then you're going to go out a couple of inches, bring it back in. Do that a couple of times until you are convinced that both motors have stopped at the same time. Now you're synchronized on that point. Go out all the way, okay? And what you're looking for is for the motor to stop all the way out both at the same time, or all the way in. Pick a way. So the reason they get out of synchronization is they're not lubricated. So one side's not lubricated, the other side is. You've got wheels underneath as well. You need to lubricate those. We did another one recently, and the tracks were lubricated, but what we found out is this one didn't have wheels on the bottom. Well, it actually had two wheels on the outboard side, but there was a wiper seal on the very bottom. It was a Class B van conversion, and there was this rubber all the way under, and so the slide room is scraping against the rubber, which is causing resistance, and that was causing it to amp out and stop and fault. Cleaned that up, lubricated it, it's working fantastically. So the reason they're getting out of synchronization is they're not lubricated. One side's lubricated more than the other. The wheels aren't lubricated, and but there was a thought there and I lost it about lubricating. It came back to me. You run it out about 3 feet to open up that drawer to get a clean pair of socks, and then you close it. But see, the thing is with that, when you opened it and then you closed it, it never went all the way to amp out. So the controller doesn't understand where it's at. It's okay to do that a time here and there, but if you do open up that drawer to get a pair of socks or something and you close it back and get on down the road, then the next time you get somewhere, make sure you go all the way in and all the way out to amp it out. So lubrication, and run it until it stops, and then you take your finger off the button. Other than that, you shouldn't have any problems with these things.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thanks.